Welcome to the Upper River Crawfish and this episode of Strategic Investment for Africa. This is the third part of a full part series. In the first two parts, I talked about highway networks and utility corporations as strategic investments that Africa should make. In this part, we'll be talking about farming, fisheries, and food. Collectively, our food production sector in Africa is very underdeveloped. This is an area that needs a lot of focus, needs a lot of government help. We in Africa sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we can't feed ourselves, not because not because we don't have farmers who are willing to work hard, but because we are not organized. And so this is one of the areas that an African government can put serious effort in and will reap a lot of reward. If you remember from the previous parts, I'm very big on gifts that keeps on giving. Food, farming, fisheries, and food is one area that will lead to secondary investments that can then spur the African economy. So let's take a look at food production in Africa as a whole, starting with farming, fisheries, the actual food production plant, and then food distribution and supply chain networks. Starting with the farmers. One thing that the government could do is be able to start a co op and be able to provide industrial equipment so that the farmers could collectively be able to utilize their land more and increase their yield. Quite often in Africa, farmers produce the food. They don't, first of all, they can't even farm a huge portion of the land because one, they don't have the tools. They're still farming like in the old days. And sometimes they don't have enough resources to help them. So they farm little of their land. That much that they get, they can oftentimes only be able to sell in local markets, have no means of exporting it across the country. And for the few who try to do it, sometimes their produce spoil because the roads are bad. It takes too long to transport the food. Bad roads, no refrigerated trucks. So, as a result, the farmer loses. They can't do much more. So, government could come in with the aid of Chinese loans and guaranteed by the country, working with our banks, can create farming and bring farming equipments, organize the farmers into a co-op that they can be able to use the equipment. So maybe one farmer, while he's planting, the other farmer maybe needs to harvest and using the other tools that we make him harvest. One other thing we could do is create research and training facilities in the area so that it can help the farmers understand different new farming methods. A big thing, though, that we can utilize is irrigation, setting up irrigation systems so that these farmers don't have to go miles to draw water from a well to be able to come and irrigate their farms. All right. So These are areas that the government could help with. Another thing that would be helpful, we sometimes the farmers, for example, you take cassava. The farmer produced cassava, and he probably for sell it so that it can be eaten directly. It can make gari, it can make fufu. Those are the things that he'll sell for. But when the cassava is still longer and it's spoiled, one of the things that the farmer don't understand is that they can still benefit from that produce. You can still use cassava to make starch. It can be used to make flour. It can be used to make bioethanol. It can be used to make sweeteners. So these are areas in which we could set up food production plants or food processing plants or farm processing plants to be able to help the farmers. The farmer take and get their produce, deliver it to a corporation that would take all that way aggregate all of the harvest and give it to the food production plant who would pay them decent money for their produce and turn them into finished products. We'll sell some raw because we still need to eat cassava. I still want my dombo. We still want my gari and my fufu. We still need those things, but also turn them into finished products. Turn them into finished products. We got orange juice. We can make orange juice. You can take some of the oranges out and maybe cut them into pieces and package them properly. Rice, wheat, sugar cane. Instead of just making cane juice, sugar cane can be used to make sugar. Things that we need. But here's the thing: when those farmers can have those equipment, they can get the farmers can get this equipment. They can get good irrigation system set up for them, and they can have someone or market ready to transport their produce, or company ready to transport their produce or process their produce. They have money to hire more people to help sow the seeds and to harvest, to go and prepare the land and harvest. So all of those people that go into work on those farms now with money, again, the government can regulate it. The government should also create its own entities in each of these areas, each of these areas where the farming, fisheries, food production, food distribution. The government should have its own entities there so that can ensure that the people working there get paid decent wage, and the farmers get paid decent wage too. And the government will be able to understand what that means because they have their own farms as well. But create those different food production plants to be able to produce stuff. Take for instance, you can go into Asia. You got, for example, Malaysia. Malaysia makes those Jacob crackers. They use wheat. They use a lot of other farm produce. Those companies, you go into Russia, Indonesia, Singapore, all those places, they have those companies already. Those people, business people always need new markets. So one of the things you could do, say Liberia, you say, okay, you know what? We will create a consortium or maybe a government entity which would then partner with one of those companies, and you give free land for them to build the plant on, world-class plant, and they can go and bring the production here. That way you can be able to then sell within the country or market their products to other African regions of Africa that they do not yet reach. Those are some of the things we need to do. Another area again, food distribution. One of the things we could do is make it easy for foods to get to market or create markets for them for the produce. You can set standard on what and make sure that the farmers and the food production plants can make this commitment, but you make sure that supermarkets within the country, they must carry certain percentage of local produce. So if they want to sell eggs, they should carry eggs from the local farms. If we can make orange juice and they want to sell orange juice, don't ban them from getting orange juice from abroad, but make sure that you put a quota that, say for example, 25% of the orange juices you sell in this market, in the supermarket, must be locally produced. And then the rest coming from outside must have tariffs on them. So that then you can take that and put them back into the food production area. Okay? Another thing we could do, look in a city and break the city into districts. In every district, you can decide that you should have every 2 to 3 districts. You can say there should be one general market, one supermarket, one general goods plaza like a mall, and maybe even a construction goods place like a Home Depot, or in for that area. So take for instance, lived in Painesville area, Painesville, Duperreau, maybe Police Academy. They could have one supermarket, one general market, one Home Depot like place, one mini mall, stuff like that. Those are things that would be able to help the economy, right? Those are things that the government must be able to work with the Chinese. This is an area which the Chinese can help again. Work with them to get loans. Guaranteed, government should guarantee it, but then make it available to private businesses to be able to establish a better way of producing food, improve our food network. The government should also be able to provide training, and the government should be responsible for helping capacity building, and all of these things is not free. The government entities will create state-owned entities that can go ahead and also make money out of these. For all these people that are producing these goods, government is getting revenue from it. We can't keep relying on food from outside while our farmers just not able to produce stuff. Speaking to my sister the other day, tell me in Ghana, even tomatoes, they import tomato from, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in Asia. I mean, are you kidding me? We can produce those things right within Africa. One country we can sell to, they don't have land, is Singapore. You could make a deal that certain of our produce that we get, we take some for local consumption, and you provide the market for us to ship some of those things to you. Yes, they get some from Malaysia, but guess what? You can find a way that is beneficial for them, especially when you have some of their companies in the country producing those finished goods from the produce. So now they will want to help those companies as well. So we need to think. This is an area that is underdeveloped. This is a sector of African economy that needs to be helped, and it's a strategic sector. There will be a trickle down of improvement in the economy all across the board. Our advice, that is one of the strategic areas that Africa should invest in. Again, with the help of the Chinese. That's it for this episode. Please subscribe, like, share. I'm Sankara. Be moving on to the next episode, which will be parks, recreation, and then new political systems. Thank you.